Hello everyone, it is Brandy here with Brandy's Cards. I hope that you are enjoying your Stampin' Up! Holiday catalog and getting lots of holiday crafting in. It's been so much fun to see all of the beautiful Christmas cards, the fall cards, of course Halloween as well, and Stampin' Up! Just came out with a new Hanukkah stamp set as well, so it is absolutely fantastic. Such a fun time of the year to create cards and of course to send them. So if you don't already have a demonstrator, please let me know. I'd be happy to send you our wonderful idea and inspiration books. It's actually our Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. We also have a holiday catalog as well. But I call them my idea and inspiration books because they are full of so many wonderful things, from stamp sets to accessories and all of that good stuff. So if you don't have a demonstrator and you'd like a set of these catalogs, please reach out to me. Visit me at brandyscards.com/contact and be sure to send me your contact information and I will get you a set of catalogs out right away. Okay, so today we're going to use the Rustic Crate stamp set. So I told you I love the inspiration in the holiday catalog. So we're going to dive right in. I'm going to show you a couple of cards that I created with it. And I've actually got a third. So I've got a third one that I'll be sharing later, but I might give you a sneak peek. All right, so let's come on over here to have a look at our Rustic Crate stamp set. So this is the stamp set that we're going to be using today. It also comes with some dies. These dies are fantastic. I didn't actually dive in and use the gloves and some of these other things yet, but I think they're super cool and I hope to do just that. But I do have a couple pieces pulled aside that I'll be using. And this Rustic Crate stamp set, I believe it is, let me go look here. Oh my goodness, so many beautiful things in this catalog. So I'm just kind of flipping through. Okay, when in doubt, I just like to go here to the back and I like to look at these samples a lot. So they have these bundles out really nicely listed. So I generally just go here. Rustic Crate, it looks like it is on page 46. So we're going to go to page 46 and have a look. So this is what Stampin' Up! Did with the stamp set. I love the ears of corn. And so actually, this is page 45. I am so excited. I've actually been working with this stamp set as well, and I can't wait to show you what I've created. But let's go to Rustic Crate for now. And so this one's just super fun. My goal today, my goal in using this stamp set today was to show you all three images. There's, the herbs in there, and then there's the pumpkins, and I believe the poinsettias. So I wanted to show you how to use all three of those stamps. So I'm really excited that I've got 3 cards out of that for you. Okay, so I just went ahead, we're gonna set that aside. We're gonna set our dies aside because we don't need them right now. And of course, our stamp set. So what we're going to start with today is I have a basic white, I have Daffodil Delight, and I also have some early espresso cardstock. So that's what we're going to start here with today. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper, and I'm also going to pull in my early espresso stamp pad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fun little background, okay? So, before I do that, I think I'm going to, because I don't know if I have my chamois right here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my images here real quick. And the only image I need is the pumpkin and sunflowers. So I'm just going to do that first. Now I'm going to use Memento Black because I am going to color this image with Stampin' Blends. Now I'm going to stamp it off on my scrap paper. I always like to do that at least one time to make sure that I'm going to get a good stamped image. So here we go, just inking it up really, really good. And I'm going to stamp it here in the center of my piece of cardstock. Oh, turned out perfect. I'm so happy. Okay, so that turned out great. So let's set this aside. We're going to let it dry for just a moment. And then we're going to bring this back in, and I'm just going to stamp it off a few times here so that I know that it's good and clean. And I have my early espresso. So early espresso coming right at you. What we're going to do is we are going to stamp a background. So I'm inking this up in early espresso, and I'm just going to stamp along the bottom edge of my cardstock. And the cool thing is you can absolutely see this. You can absolutely see it when you layer your card together. So check that out. You see? Making sure you can see it okay. So that's just a really fun, subtle background for your early espresso. So early espresso cardstock, and I'm stamping it with early espresso ink. Now while we're stamping, we're going to make our crate. And I do have my crate here. And it looks, you know, it's wood, so that's kind of cool looking. I am going to stamp it once. So let's just make sure that we've got it inked up well. We stamp it down once, and that looks perfect. So let's ink it back up, early espresso. And I'm going to stamp it right here in a piece of crumb cake cardstock. So the cool part about that, as you can see, it really just, gosh, it just adds something extra, doesn't it? You can see that crumb cake in, you know, in that early espresso. And I love how it just adds a little something extra. Now, what you're going to do is you can die cut this piece, right? So we do have a die cut, but because I don't have my die cut machine out and handy, I am just going to just cut around it for today. Like I said, we've got a die. You can certainly use it, but I did not bring my cut and emboss out today. So I'm just going to snip around it really, really quick here. So perfect. And we probably want to round that corner. Okay. So there you have that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set these two pieces aside, and I'm going to show you how I colored my flower. So my sunflowers and my pumpkins, I should say. And so let me just make sure that this is a light, looks like that's a light pumpkin. So I'm going to step over to the side here, and I am going to grab my dark pumpkin pie. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I'm actually filming on my own today. And so, you know, a lot of times my husband or my boys will help me. And so if I'm missing something, somebody will hand it to me a lot of times. So, but I appreciate you being here, and I hope that you enjoy, these projects. They're so much fun. All right, so let's jump back in, and we are going to color. So what I'm going to do is I am going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see, so that you can see what I'm coloring. So give me 2 seconds to kind of zoom in a little bit more here. So I'm just going to kind of get that there in the center. And we have our markers. So these are Stampin' Blends. These are alcohol markers. And the first one that I'm going to start with, I believe, is our light pumpkin pie. Now this is a thick piece of basic white cardstock, but you know, depending on what you're using, you do want to protect your space. So I would always just err on the side of caution and always try to put a piece of scrap underneath your image that you're coloring, because it does these Stampin' Blends, it will absolutely bleed through. Okay, but on the thick cardstock, it's not so bad. So I'm just kind of coloring. I'm not getting too fancy here. I'm just adding a bit of color to my pumpkins. So here we go. Adding a bit of color to my little pumpkins. They're so cute. So I think I'm going to grab my other end here and just kind of maybe get up in those little corners in there. Now I'm going to pull in my dark pumpkin pie. And I'm just going to add a bit of color along kind of the lines of my pumpkin. And so these are fairly new markers. And so I'm just kind of being a little careful. A lot of times if you've got a new marker, it's got lots of lots of juice in it, right? Or color. And so you don't want your outline to kind of get blurred because you're applying, a heavy amount of color, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Then I've got my light marker again, and I can just kind of come back in here and soften up if I would like. Now we're going to move on to Daffodil Delight. Yeah, so that is another fantastic color. I'm going to start with the light Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to add a bit of color in my sunflower. And so we're just kind of coloring that sunflower. And I personally don't mind a little bit of white in some of this, but if you do, then you just want to be a little bit more careful and try to, get in all those little spots. But I really don't mind it, actually. I think it's quite pretty, when you have that. We've got some corn back here. We don't want to forget that. So we're going to add some color to our corn. Then I'm going to pull in my dark pumpkin pie. And I'm just going to do the same sort of thing that I did to my pumpkin. And I'm just looking for the lines in the flower, the kind of the accent lines in the flower, and just adding a little bit of darker color to that. And that is going to allow it to kind of have that realistic, right? The lights and the darks, which I think is super cool. And that is what I love, love, love about our Stampin' Blends. Now, sometimes what I'll do is I will let this dry, and then I'll kind of come back in and just add a bit more color because it will darken it up just a wee bit more. And then when you've got your corn over here, just to kind of bring that to life, I'm going to do the same thing, kind of do some light and dark kernels over here to kind of bring that to life. Okay, so we're well on our way. Now I'm going to pull in Old Olive. And again, I'm going to start with this lighter color. There's not, everything is kind of small in here, really. So I'm just going to, because it's so small, I'm not worrying too much about it being blended perfect. I just want a little bit of the light and the darks to show through. So that I definitely would like. Okay. So can you guys see that well? Let me see if I can maybe come in just a wee bit more so you can have a look. There we go. And I'm just going to bring that over right about in there so you can kind of even see that a little bit closer as I'm coloring it. And again, with the dark Old Olive, I am just going to add a bit of, bit of color just by kind of following the lines and the leaves, and the stalk here on my corn, and then over here. And then, of course, like I said earlier, you can certainly go in and soften it if you'd like. Or you could start with a darker marker. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it. It just takes practice. Practice, practice, practice. That's all. So once you practice it and you kind of figure out, okay, this works for me, I really like it this way, well, then that's the way that you should do that. This is dark crumb cake. So I'm just going to kind of fill in my sunflower. And that image, I think, is all done. Yeah, so that one is all done. And again, we used, let me just kind of bring in some of our markers here. Woo, they're nice and big, aren't they? Because we are zoomed in. So let me just go ahead and zoom back out. So let me just zoom back out to kind of where we were. And then we'll bring our little markers back in. So again, I used pumpkin pie, and I had some Old Olive, Daffodil Delight, and crumb cake to achieve this look. Then what I did is I die cut this image. So here's my die cut out of my rustic crate, and that is the image that I got once I die cut it. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how I put this card together today. So much fun, so much fun. So I'm going to take that out. I have some liquid adhesive here, and I'm going to bring in my piece of early espresso, and I'm going to add some liquid adhesive right behind my basic white cardstock. Yep. Then I'm going to add it right here in the center. And so that is the inside of my card. And let me just kind of pull back out just a little bit more. There we go. Whoop, perfect. I think that works. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we have another piece here. This is just a basic white strip. I really liked it along the center of the card front. It just sort of broke things up a little bit. So I did like that a lot. You could also use twine if you prefer that. So that's why I put that there. Then I have my piece that I'm going to stamp my sentiment and layer up my crate and my pumpkin. So I have my sentiment here, blessed beyond measure. And so I always, we've talked about this before, I always stamp my sentiment and things ahead of time and make sure everything is working well and is straight on my block, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of have a look here at my card. And I'm gonna stamp my sentiment right in here, okay? And if you don't like it, well, you can always flip it over, right? There's two sides to every piece of paper. And so especially if you're using our basic white thick, well, you're not gonna be able to see through that. So that will work beautifully. Okay, so we're gonna flip that over. We're gonna add some Stampin' Dimensionals right back here. And I like to pop up this white layer, but you could do it however you would like. Yep, however you would like, you can do that. You can glue it straight down or you can pop it up. So I'm gonna flip this over and, oh, you wanna make sure you don't have anything on your hands. Look at that, I got a sploogie on there. It's not too bad though, because I think once we add our crate and we add our pumpkins, you'll never see it. So that's a good thing. So I'm just adding a bit of liquid adhesive on the bottom portion of my crate. And then I'm going to add it right about in here. Then what I'm going to do is I want this bottom portion of my pumpkin to kind of tuck in here like this. Do you see how I'm doing that? So I'm kind of tucking the pumpkin in like the pumpkin's sitting in there. And the sunflower is kind of hanging over the edge. So that's how I'm doing that, kind of tucking it in just like that. So to do that, I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals at the very top of this image, so right along here. And I might just add just a wee bit of liquid adhesive through here, okay? So we got to take the backs off of our dimensionals. We're going to set those aside and we're going to kind of layer it in here just like we had talked about. And it's going to go right there. Perfect. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh. I absolutely love this stamp set. It is so pretty and there are so many things that you can do with it. So I have another card using these same pumpkins and I'm going to show you on a white card base. Right now we're working with this early espresso, which is beautiful, but I have a white card base too. So much to show you, so little time, but I'll show it to you here in 1 second. We'll get it in for sure. Okay, so here we go. I am going to adhere this piece straight here to the front of my card, just like that. Oh my goodness. So, you know, you could use some linen thread on this card if you wanted to, right? You could use some linen thread. I have here, let's see, what are these? These are gold adhesive backed sequins with a few festive pearls hanging out in the middle there. So you could certainly use those if you wanted to, or you could add some, you could add some twine. So I did promise you that I would show you the other card on a white card base. So let me show you this one. Oh, isn't that lovely too? And so this one, again, I'm still using the adhesive back sequins. I've got my twine, and it looks like I forgot to color the center of my sunflowers. Now they're colored. Perfect. All right. So you can see, so fun. And so this is Early Espresso, Daffodil Delight, and then you have your basic white. So just another fun way to kind of do the same thing. Okay, so how about one more card? You guys want to see one more card before we move on? Okay, so the next one I have to show you is using the herbs in the Rustic Crate stamp set. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to set these aside right now, and I'm going to pull in this card. And let me show you what this one looks like. So check this one out. Oh my goodness, isn't that lovely? I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. So I will be sending this out as one of my thank you notes this month. Absolutely love it, love it, love it. So let me show you how I created it. Super simple. Yeah, easy peasy. So I've got a strip of old olive. This is actually wild wheat. Yeah, that's wild wheat. So here we go. Let's just bring in our scrap real quick. And I do have, I've got my scrap. I do have some old olive. And I'm just going to ink up my herbs here in old olive. And I'm going to stamp the sides. Okay. So there's only the sides are what will be seen. So I didn't worry too much about the centerpiece, just the two ends. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, you know what? We're going to need old olive one more time. So let me go ahead and clean my stamp. And now that that's all tidied up, I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to bring in our image layer. And I've got Memento Black. Again, I'm using Memento Black just like I did in the pumpkins because we're going to color with Stampin' Blends. So let's go ahead and stamp this once, make sure it looks good. And now if you are stamping and you're not getting the image that you would like because these are photopolymer, you might want a pierce mat. You can also put a magazine down, that also will work. So you could take your Stampin' Up! Magazine and or catalog, just set your little piece of paper on top of there, and you should be able to stamp it right on top, just like that, and it would look really, really nice. So that's just kind of another idea in case you don't have your pierce mat available, you know, and right there handy. So I'm going to put my Memento Black away. I'm also going to kind of switch out my markers. Right now I have all of the markers for the pumpkins, but we're going to need our Stampin' Blends for the herbs as well. So I'm going to use Old Olive, I have Lost Lagoon, Moody Mauve, and I have Wild Wheat. So a lot of fun. You know, many of those are our new colors, but we've got the Wild Wheat and the Moody Mauve. So let me show you how I did that. So I'm going to bring these in and we're going to get started on this one. So just really a lot of fun. I tell you, I loved this stamp set and I've had so much fun working with it. So let me go ahead and zoom in for you so you can kind of see a little bit closer what I've got going on here. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with all of the lightest markers first. So here is an Old Olive, and this is just the light one. And so what I would do is I just kind of came in here, I didn't get too picky, and I just added a bit of color to my leaves. Yep, just a bit of color. And you can now take, once you get this colored, you could certainly take the dark Old Olive and you could start making things a little bit darker here and there. But what I ended up doing was, I ended up using the dark Lost Lagoon. Yeah, and the reason that I did that is because I felt like the contrast was awesome. It was really good, and I liked the fact that it just really brought those to life, and you could really see that they were different. So that's why I chose to do that. Now I have Wild Wheat here. You might be wondering, now why does she have these blue bands on her markers? Well, the reason that I have these wrapped around the markers, it's some tape. It was because this past weekend I had an in-person crafting event. So we had ladies join us from Colorado, Florida, Maryland, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. I may be missing one or two, but it was amazing. They joined me here at the Embassy Suites, Spawn Suites, and we stayed a couple nights and we just had a fun crafting extravaganza. So if you were someone who joined us, I would love for you to share in the comments. It was just such a fun event. We had lots of crafting and a couple community service projects as well. So I'll definitely be sharing more of that on BrandysCards.com, and you'll also see it on my Facebook page. So if you haven't liked my Facebook page yet, be sure to go over there and do that. Now, speaking of events, upcoming is our Creativate Fall 2023 retreat. Now, this is a virtual crafting retreat. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can craft from the leisure of your own home. And it is coming up quickly. The dates of that are October 13th and 14th. And registration is open now. So if you've ever joined us for a retreat, please feel free to leave a message. It is so much fun. And talk about crafters from everywhere. We have crafters from Canada and Germany and Australia and New Zealand and oh my goodness, the list goes on, and we all come together for a fun weekend of fellowship, crafting, and lots of laughs and giggles. And then, of course, for ideas and inspiration. Now, each Creativate leader does have their own unique registration link. And if you haven't already registered, I'd be grateful if you would consider registering with me and be a guest of Brandy's Cards. It's coming up quick, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some pre-retreat challenges going on right now. They post on each Monday. And for those of you that registered early, I hope you're enjoying those early bird fun folds too. Okay, so if you have any questions about the Creativate retreat, be sure to reach out to me, brandyscards.com/contact. I will be sure to get back to you right away and answer any of those questions that you might have. All right, so let's get coloring the rest of our image here. I've got my wild wheat, and so for wild wheat, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I had to kind of double take at my marker and make sure I was using the light one, but I'm taking the light wild wheat, and as you can see, I am just sort of, just adding some color and making my way down my plant, okay? And so here we go. Let's just see, kind of up in there. Perfect. Now, I colored this one wild wheat too, but you can color it whatever you would like, but I thought it looked really nice. And so I'm just kind of touching all of these little open spots. There's not any blending going on here. This is literally just applying color to these, to these little, little buds, if you will. So I'm just kind of adding that in there. And then once I'm done with that, you could certainly come in with your dark wild wheat, and you could, you could add some of these and make them a little darker. I started doing that, but I wasn't convinced that you could actually tell the difference. So it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm not sure you can tell, so I'm going to abort and, find someplace else to color that you can absolutely see, that I'm adding some darker. And I'm just talking about when I did this. It was just so small, I'm not sure that you could actually see that. But you could always go back over some of these leaves in here if you wanted to kind of add that wild wheat, make it a little bit darker yet. All right, so let's move on. We have Moody Mauve is up next. So Moody Mauve, I did the exact same thing. We're going to color our leaves with light Moody Mauve, and then we're going to go back over them with our dark Moody Mauve. So, and again, that's just to kind of bring out some contrast, some contrast and some light and dark color. Oh, I just think that is so beautiful already. It's just coming to life. I hope that you're enjoying this tutorial. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to like my video today and subscribe. I would love the opportunity to continue to share ideas with you, inspiration. I've got some PDF tutorials. So I have some PDF tutorials here for you as well. You're going to find those on BrandysCards.com. So you can see some full color PDF tutorials, and all of the sizes and the dimensions are there. So you'll go to BrandysCards.com and /blog, and then when you click on my blog, you should see the thumbnail of the picture of this card there. If you don't, not to worry, you may be finding this video a couple months later. Just go to BrandysCards.com/blog, and in the search bar, you can type in there rustic crate, maybe pumpkins, something along those lines, and this project should pop up. All right, should pop up, and you could also, if all else fails, send me an email. I'd be happy to send you the link to my blog post where you can download this PDF tutorial and maybe see any other inspiration that I have there to share. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this card and finish putting it together. So I'm going to set these guys aside. I have my basic white here, basic white card base, and I have my old olive strip. So we're going to add a bit of liquid adhesive right behind here. Now to dress this card up even a bit more, you could certainly emboss this base layer, right? You could absolutely do that. I did not do that today, but with crafting, the possibilities are endless. So you could absolutely do that if you wanted to. So while I'm just going to go ahead and zoom out just a wee bit so it's a little bit easier to see. And we're going to add some of our dimensionals right here behind our piece of basic white that has our image on it. Okay. And let's see, we're going to put it right in the center of wild wheat. And look how pretty. Did you see how pretty that is? Absolutely gorgeous. And when you put it on that wild wheat, it really pops it, doesn't it? Oh, so nice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the wild wheat as well. But before I get too sporty and stick it down, I'm definitely going to stamp. I want to stamp my card base. It's always a good idea to do that before you start gluing things down, right? Just in case you stamped a little wonky. I can already see that this old olive might be just a smidge big, so we'll just snip that off while we're doing that. And the sentiment that I have here is good things take time. I have an old olive stamp pad right here, and I'm going to ink that up, pull in some scrap paper, just kind of stamp it to make sure that we're good, and it looks like we are. So let me just ink that up really well. And I'm going to stamp it right down here towards the bottom. So to the bottom right is where I'm going to do that. Okay, so now we are going to bring in our wild wheat and our beautifully colored plants. Okay, so there's a couple things you can do here. You can use these fun enamel effects. So I love these things. So this one is a copper, this one is a gold, and then there's a silver. So on this particular card, let me show you. On this one, I did it with the gold enamel effects. And so it's really pretty cool. All you have to do is, let me just show you, is you're just going to squeeze just a wee bit and, well, hang tight. I've been using this one a lot. There you go. And so you're just going to squeeze, and it's like a little pearl. It's like you're making your own little pearl kind of comes out. So just really a lot of fun, super easy to use. And I just put a couple on there. Now that does take a wee bit of time to dry, so you're just going to set that aside, all right? But you might even like it with some adhesive back sequins and maybe a nice piece of linen thread as well. So you could go that route too. So really a lot of fun. Let me just bring back in the cards that I've shown you so far. So I have the early espresso pumpkin, and we have it on white as well. So it's just some real nice clean stationery. And then check this one out. Here is the poinsettia. Yeah, look at that with some pretty dazzling paper behind it. So I will be sharing a tutorial on that card here coming soon. So lots of ideas, lots of inspiration there, and we have successfully used, let's see, all of the big images in this stamp set. So you've got lots of ideas for that. All right, I would love to hear which card you like best. I'd love to know what you thought, and you know, and maybe what you've been doing with this stamp set. It's just so much fun, right? So if you haven't done so already, please give me a thumbs up. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And of course, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like one of our holiday or one of our annual idea and inspiration books, also known as the catalog, please let me know. I'd love to get you one of those out in the mail right away. And I'd love the opportunity to help you and to earn your business. Of course, this time of the year is so much fun for crafting. Any time of the year is great, right? But holiday crafting, Christmas cards, holiday cards, you know, just so many fun things to look forward to and to craft. So I've got some fun videos coming up for you, and I can't hardly wait to share them with you. If you've been on my Facebook page, you've seen some of those projects. So just, you know, be sure to check back. Be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. Thank you for joining me today. Bye, everyone. Happy stamping.